Hey everybody, welcome to Facebook Live on Sundays with Kate Quinn. Can you let me know how the sound is, if you can see everything really good, and if you can hear? And then we'll go ahead and get started. Or just give me a thumbs up, something like that. Something so that I know you can hear me and we can start moving on. Today we're going to do something that we haven't done before. I am a big fan of the Circles on Quilts templates. And these are two fairly unique ones that I've never seen anyone do before. And I thought I would just present them because they're pretty interesting looking. And we'll do one basic way and then maybe think about how we could play with them to get other designs that might be in different shapes. Just lets us play a little bit more with the tools that we have. Joyce, I guess you can hear me, right? I hope. Somebody? Nobody? Oh, sound is great. Thank you, Annette. I appreciate that. All right, so let me just kind of show you the tools themselves. I'll just pick one up and we'll kind of hold it up a little bit closer. All right. So normally these have this A and B type of thing. This one's kind of big, so we'll stick it this way so we can see it. This one has some unique reference lines that we can use as we sew, and we could always use it as a border just by aligning right here and just sewing the top. So a border is always an option for these type of designs, but this is a pin driven template, so we are going to put the pin on there. This is designed for 16 crosshair lines. So I've already marked the 16 crosshair lines on my fabric. It is with chalk, so hopefully you'll be able to see that. And we'll sew out the basic. Let me put the two templates right next to each other so that you can see the difference. These are both going to sew out at 11.5, and you'll see right here the base is right aligned and the pinholes are aligned. But you're going to get just a little bit different shape. This one is going to have the lobe underneath right here on the bottom. It's going to kick out and dip in a little lower, whereas this one on the top, which is number 29 is going to have the dip closer to the top. And when we play with that, one of these is wider kind of right at this top area and this one isn't. So those would be things that you'd be looking for when you're trying to fit that into a specific space. So since I think I want to use this narrow and wide option on my second design, we're going to start with 33 and do that one first. So let me get my pins. Oh, I just had them here because I was just using them. Oh, I see they're on the wrong side. Hang on just one second. I am prepared. I am prepared for real. They just were on the opposite side of the sewing machine. So just keep your pins, somewhere safe so that you can use them conveniently without any problem. And then let's go ahead and we'll just close that. That keeps those little stitching line discs from wandering off. When you set up your machine, if you have different batting between this project and that project, always make sure that you are checking the height of your foot. So if my foot is in the down position right there, I need to be able to move freely and not have any obstruction. The height of this foot is critical to having good stitching when you're working with templates. So on your own machine at home, if you're having skip stitches or broken threads, poor stitch quality, just make sure that that is something that you're checking because that's really what's going to create problems for you. All right, let's go ahead and get this under here. I pulled up my bobbin thread already today. Can you believe that? I did. Oh, okay, let's try one more thing. So the other thing I wanted to mention, I've got it right here, is this is something useful for getting good contact with the ruler and the fabric. So this is the Sew Steady Stable Tape. We sell this in packs of 5 and in packs of 12, and I end up just buying the 12 because I always need more. It does last a good long time, and you're going to cut it in about 1/2 inch pieces when you're using that. So let's do that. I know some people know that, but some people don't know that. So we'll just be nice to those people that are new and help them see that. Just cut these into, useful pieces. We don't want to stick the whole thing on there like that. So, all right, and this one has a little fluffy, so we'll just cut that off. And sometimes if they're like that, I might just cut these into two. That way, sometimes if I need a little smaller unit, I can have that as well. Okay, so when you put these on, anytime that I'm using a template that's going to go 360, like you're going to start and you're basically almost going all the way around, I like to put at least two, one on each corner, and then this one's kind of big, so maybe one in this open space, one here, and one here. So this one, maybe about 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll put them on. I'm going to tip my camera down just a little bit more so we have a little working space in front there. Thank you, thank you. All right. It's great to see everybody today. So it seemed like people liked my Tile Titans block from last time. And my plan, I've kind of been thinking about having a more structured plan for that. I'm going to start that as a block of the month. So if you're interested in the Tile Titans project, which can be template, but I didn't stitch it out that way when I did it last week, but I really think it would make an awesome template project. So I'm going to start doing those once a month, and I'll get with Stacy and we'll try to have a specific day of the month that we will do that. So that way we can have a little bit better planning. So notice that I'm putting these grips on the back of the template. What is the back of the template? If I can read the words, that is the front. And if the words are backwards, like these are right now, this is the back. These lines are etched into the template so they don't get worn away, okay? And I can read the lines better if I have these grips on the back side. There is no, police coming after you if you do it differently, but know that the lines will be a little easier to read if you do it this way, okay? All right, so let's put this on. Now this template, I think it's a little weird. When I was playing with it, I kind of struggled with it. There is no center mark there up at the top, right? So I'm just going to try to use this right here because that's an easy visual for me to line things up with, okay? So let's put this on and we'll just line it up. It would be good if my lines were maybe a little bit longer because this one is so big. But let's go ahead. We'll turn it towards you. I'll kind of show you that alignment. Let's mark our lines just a little bit more because in particular that one is quite short. So we just want it a little bit longer so that we can see better. Okay. I don't know. It's not working today. I don't know if it's broken. Oh, it is. Of course. Right when I'm trying to use it, it has to break. Okay. Thank goodness there's more in there, right? All right. It doesn't want to write today. I don't know what the deal is. The other lines are my Choco liners. That's probably why. All right. So let's get it lined up. And I'm going to start down in one side. And this is 16 rotations, but you're not rotating one unit at a time. In fact, let's go ahead and number those so we can figure that out. Let's see. All right. So just for clarity, there's going to be some gaps in between. If we say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just number these. I'm still going to make these longer because we are going to need a longer line. All right, we're going to use this because it'll write better. 5, 6. It all worked fine on paper, right? But now I need them to be longer. Especially the ones on the end, they tend to be just a little bit shorter. Like these two right here, they tend to be just a little shorter. So this is the 12.5-inch crosshair. I did use the big one, but I still think you're going to want your lines to be just a little bit longer for this design. I think it's worth it. It's going to make it just easier to put it all together. Okay, 13, 14, 15, and then this last one. We'll make him just a little longer too, just in case he's getting any funny ideas. All right. See, your 12-inch arc is good for so many things. Okay, we'll start at 1, and I'll start down here. I guess this is going to have a stitching towards our 16s, but that's okay, I don't mind. The numbering system is to help you know that when we rotate, there's going to be 2 units that are in between. 2 of these 16 reference lines are going to be in between when we rotate for the next one. Set your needle down and off we go. I'm checking the picture. So this is kind of big, so let's see if we can really give you a little bit of better angle. So we'll just come up a little bit, so this way we can try to see the whole thing as we're sewing. That'll help you see hand position, things like that. Okay, here we go. So as we go, nice easy rhythm on your machine. Okay, here, just stop right there, and then pushing to the side to kind of go along that curvature. Right here, this is sharp and pointy, okay? If you have a long arm, you can kind of swing around that and round it off. We're just gonna go a little slowly, just right there, so we can get a nice shape. It's going to be round, it's not going to be pointy. I mean, you can't do that. Wait till your needle stops, and now we'll go ahead and we're gonna skip 2 units and bring us over to this next one. Notice that we're fitting right in the hook, and we're using that little dip right there to line up visually. The other thing that we can do is we can use this reference line right here, but we always still wanna respond right to the crosshair line. So this is pretty close, but that crosshair line is very important, because if we start ignoring that, we're not going to be able to get our design evenly balanced. That's what those 16 crosshair lines are for. So we definitely want to pay attention to them and make sure that those are our most important reference lines. A little slowly. Why are we going so slowly when we go around the edge? I want you to try to imagine that you've got a little pointy edge like this, which is what is right there on the template. In fact, let's use the other template so you can kind of see it better. Okay, you've got a little point there, and we're going to try to go around it. Right when the foot is on that little pin prick right there, this little tip, it's teeter-tottering. It's a circle, and only one tiny little bit of this plastic is touching that circle. So if I just were to go, woo, I just go right off the ski jump, and then I would just have whatever happens on the bottom side. I might crash and burn. So here we're going to control that speed so that we can control the shape right there, okay? All right, so let's keep going. All right, so still touching nicely. I didn't move my ruler. Trying to get that nice smooth shape as we go, and just coming back down and stopping. There is a very nice, easy stop barrier right down there. Okay, so now we numbered everything. Remember what we said, we're gonna skip 2 lines. So we're skipping this line and this line, and we're going over to this line. Okay, now, could I do this upside down with this template? Of course. I could go ahead and flip this template over and use it the other way if I wanted my design to go the other way. It's kind of like a Spinifex in that sense that we can make it have whatever directionality that we really want to. So nice and slowly around that curve, and then we can pick up some more speed to get around. I did start sewing through some of these guys, so I'm just gonna pull them out of here, get them out of my way. They have a little mind of their own right now. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pull them out so that they won't be following us every time we rotate that. Okay, so what do you think of the shape so far? Let's go ahead and we'll rotate that over. We're looking for this reference line, and again, I'll adjust right here. I'll turn this a little bit so you can see this better. But this is kind of a unique shape, don't you think? What I think would actually be cool is using one of these leaves oriented one way and one the other way, and like having this as an overlap and joining them. It is so cool. Yes, Linda Martindale is, I need to pay her. She's such an awesome advocate. She's always answering questions and helping people and checking in with me. And I'm so grateful to have a good partner in crime over there. So thank you for your willingness to help, Linda. I appreciate you so much. She doesn't ask for anything. She just checks in with me sometimes. And I just think that is very considerate of her. All right, so this is the one that we just did. So skip, skip. Let's line up the tip right down here. And then checking our reference line, and we're right on. So it looks good, and off we go. This is kind of a weird shape. It kind of reminds me, though, of a leaf. Some of those odd, like pin oak leaf kind of deals that have like a little bit of a weird shape, although it's not really symmetrical in that way. But what I think is interesting about this one is that your center has got some fun crossover, the way that as we sew the next layer around, there's going to be some interplay here in the center that is very unique that I haven't seen in the other templates. So 1, 2, skip, and coming over to this line. And on this moment, I'll just line it up on the reference line. I won't rotate, but I will tip my camera a little better so you can see a little more of the back position. But you don't have to rotate, right? As long as you can see and you can line everything up, we can sew in every direction. That's always really important so that you know if you're doing a larger project, you don't have to switch things around by rotating it towards the front. I usually do that, particularly for the camera. And I won't lie to you, it makes me less versatile when I'm actually working on a project, you know, because I'm so used to turning it. But on those bigger projects, we do not want to rotate. So it's good to practice the way that you mean to go so that you have that. If I can't see back here, I have a couple of options. I can duck down and look right here, you know, a little bit kind of behind that. I can turn the project just slightly, not really rotating it, but enough that I might be able to see the alignment right back there. And if that doesn't work, I just stand up and look over the sewing machine. I call that the Fitbit moment because I tend to, you know, sit a little too long. And I will tell you that I don't have a nice long line because we did make the lines longer, but not for this one. So I can't really line up my little friend. So let's go ahead and lengthen this line so we can get a nice alignment. It's always worth taking that extra minute and just making that adjustment if you need to. So this is where we were. So 1, 2. Okay, now let's start talking about what's going to happen now. Now the numbers are starting to become even more important. As we go on this next rotation, we're going to be crossing over areas that we've already sewn. So if we're not paying attention to the numbers, we could be on the wrong line. So when we finish this one, he's going to start sewing right through this right here. And we want to keep track of the numbers. So we're on number 2, and we're going to skip over to number 15 over here when we're ready for the next one. So let's keep that in our mind, and we'll just pay attention and be able to do that very nicely. So notice how my hand is very wide and flat. That does help me to not have to adjust my hand position nearly as often, because I'm able to put pressure on the whole ruler, and my wrist is also flat. So I'm not going to get tired because I have, you know, this wrist that is up really high or kind of weird. Just relax that down. Okay, so I'm right on that precipice right there, so I'm going to go slowly. That's not a good place to make an adjustment right there. Next time, if I need to stop, I want to go to a better place. So now, again, we're on number 2, so I'm going to skip 1 and 16, and we'll go over to 15, and then we're aligned. And checking our reference line right there, the one that we just stitched out, and here we go. So there's some crossover now as they're getting a second round, we're going to start seeing a little bit of lines that are close to each other and some lines that are going to dip around to create the design. I don't care. I think it looks awesome. Okay. So if you're using your pen, a lot of people, I hear them say, oh, I want a bigger pen. So we just did 15. So now I'm starting to get confused, right? So 14 and 13, we're going to skip those and go over to this next vacant line. Obviously, we don't want to put one on the line that already has one, but then we could have counted wrong. So just keep track of your numbers. Those will really help you to make sure that the design is flawless and stitches out just the way you want it. Lining up our little tip right there, the little cutaway right on our line. We could pick a different spot. I just like that spot because it's just so easy. Visually, it's really convenient place to align things. I don't have to worry about anything. Okay, actively change directions. Right as I come out of there, I'm actually pushing the fabric that way, right? Because I want to kind of come out of that little dip and I've got to move the whole sandwich that way a little bit. And then it starts kind of going into the curve and going down towards that base. So right when you come out of that dip, if you just try to go to the side a little bit, I think it gets you out of that hole, so to speak. Okay, so we're on number 12. So we'll skip 11 and 10 and go to number 9. Then I'm right in the foot hook, and there's my reference line right there. I could smush a little bit if I want to, and we'll just keep sewing. The reason I like this one is I think it's very curvy and flowery kind of deal. Looks like it's kind of bursting out like a really awesome flower. The center's really interesting as well because of all these little crossovers that we're getting. So we're skipping 8 and 7. So those numbers, again, are just kind of helping me follow the lines, so to speak. So I'm aligned right on 6 back here. I can see that I'm aligned right on this crosshair line with my little divot. And then also checking my reference lines. Let me show you one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and pull these threads out. So we've already talked about this reference line right here, and we're aligned right up on the little tip, but let me show you one more reference line that we haven't talked about yet. I know, right? Leonie is amazing. Her brain just works in a really awesome way. And what I think is even more awesome is sometimes you can be really, really amazingly smart, but you can't convey that to other people sometimes. You know, like I had a chemistry professor who was really smart, but I walked out of his class feeling stupider than ever, right? But she has a really good way to help you. So Betty, good question. Betty asked, do the packaging directions have this skip process the way that we're doing? Actually, yes, it does. It absolutely does. It actually has a colored stitch out that shows here's your first one and then go to the second one. And it has all 16 lines and the lines are numbered. It's numbered, you know, in the lobe, like 1, 2, 3. So like how we did it in order, it doesn't have that. It'll show like 1 is right here, and then 2's 2 away, and then 3's 2 away from that. For me, I just want to have a relationship. So I just did mine as if it was kind of like a clock. And that way I know I can just skip over. So this is the Circles on Quilts spinning wheel number 33. And we are going to share designs for 29 also, which is very, very similar. It has just a little different curve detail on it, but it will also sew out at 11.5 inches if you use the pin. Okay, so let's see. Now I'm lost. Where are we? I have no idea where we are. Okay, we must have sewn that one. So we're going to skip 8 and 7, and we'll go over to 6. That's what happens when you talk too much. What I was trying to show you is that we have another reference line right there, right? So as we line it up, we're on this reference line, we're on this dot, but we also can use this little reference line on this side to help us get aligned as well. And where that really starts to come into play is when you're on the last, a couple of them, where you're trying to close the design out. Because that's going to help you line up both sides so that we can be really accurate as we get down to the end. So a little bit slower right here. And then you can speed up. Get right into your bump stop and let your needle stop moving. And then right now we're on 6, so 5 and 4 are going to be skipped and go to 3. So as we're doing this, note that we are having to kind of go around several times, right? I mean, we basically are kind of overlapping on pieces we've already stitched now. And we're not quite done. We got to get all the lobes filled. And we started at 1, so we must be getting somewhat close, but we're not there yet. All right, so this is where our start is, and I can tell that for whatever reason, maybe I didn't adjust properly, it's getting wider right there, and this is the end, so I just want to make sure that I don't have any gaps. So if I look around, I see I've still got one that is not lined up here. I've got a couple more. So this is not yet the end. Don't let yourself kind of get deceived a little bit. We are going to cross over right there. And I think that sometimes there may be a tendency when it's only that close to think that's the end. But as I look around, I know I've still got some gaps that are not yet filled. So I have to keep going. I'm not ready to finish the design at this point. So that's perfectly lined up. We're on this next position and we can still just keep on going. We got to fill in all of the lobes in order to complete the design. Make sure you bring your whole sandwich with you. So one of the things that I sometimes see is people will like try to rotate or roll around the curve. If I'm going to sew down this, I need the whole sandwich to move. So notice that my two hands, when I move down this line, they're going to stay on the same plane and they're both going to move together and not one is going to be out in front of the other. So we're filling in these little gaps here in the center as we're getting in. Let's bring you in just a little closer so you can see the center portion right here, because it's starting to get really busy. And you can see we got some little gaps on this side here that were still not filled in. But now here, those are starting to get nice and tight, nice and filled in. So let's see where we're at. We're on number 16. And I'm still going to kind of get these little friends out of here. So 15 and 14 skip, go to the next opening, and I'm just going to get this thread out of here. All right, and looks good. We're lined up on our reference lines on both sides, so here we go. So a little slow right there, going around. Over to number 10. I have that one thread that somehow is back on top of there and he's just being ornery. All right, checking my reference lines and we're ready to go. So here we go. So you can see as we've done, this is the third rotation, basically the last one. So it's doing essentially a lot of overlapping on the designs. And I think that's what kind of creates that visual interest right there. You wouldn't think that it would look so cool, but you know, look at how close these lines are, but we're getting a lot of great visual impact right here. So it's really, really a pretty design. There, can you see that? So you see how these lines, you know, they are close together. There's like 2 lines of stitching on each of those right there. And that's what's going to create that fun detail in the center. So let's see. Let's see how many we have left. Not too many. We've got just a few more, so we'll try to stitch this out more quickly, I guess, because you've seen how it goes, right? But don't be afraid of all those overlapping looks right now. You know, that's going to happen as we go. We're getting quite a bit of overlap in certain areas, but that's exactly what you're supposed to get. So the angle here is just going to change a little bit right there to get that piece in. And then I think this is our last one. Yeah, so right there, let me show you. Right there is our end tail. So I'm actually going to move these threads out of here, and I'm going to grab my spacing gauge so that we can confirm that we have the right spacing for our design to finish it out. Oh my goodness. It's weird, but I have threads all over the place here. They're all wrapped around my pin. So I'm just going to take them off and get reset. There we go. All right, now go ahead and put my foot in there. I only have the one gap, so I already know where I need to line up. This right here should be that 1/4 inch, right? So if it isn't, we have a couple of options, right? And I think it's pretty darn close, but if it's not perfect, let's see. I'm just gonna fudge a tiny bit with this right here, because nobody will notice this difference, but we want to close right there for sure. So I just made a very small adjustment. I can't necessarily make the adjustment by just moving this side, like sewing up to here and then adjusting that side, because the pin is holding me in place. So sometimes you have to, you know, respond to what the design is telling you. So let's go ahead and we'll sew that out, and then we'll get the pin out and we'll show you what it looks like. With all that's happening in this design, that's like one stitch over, it won't matter. Oh, just went crazy. Bonbon time, right? So never take your attention off your project when you're quilting with rulers, right? We've said that before. Johnny, don't talk to me. Don't put the dog out. So this one just kind of went like, woo, right off the cliff, just like we talked about. So what I'm going to do is just move this back just a little bit where it was good to go. The ruler did not move, and I can tell because right now that needle is perfectly in the right position. And I'm actually going to just scoot this thread out a little bit too, because I don't want him to be stitched over. So I'm just going to put some slack in the thread. Now, let's just stitch back a couple of stitches, 1, 2, and then we'll just go around, and we'll, again, be cautious around the little dip like I wasn't. And we should be able to get right down to our stop point, and it looks like we're going to be just perfect. Oh my goodness, you guys, perfect. We are right at the stop point. So let's go ahead and tie it off. I'm just going to stitch right up this existing stitch line, a few stitches, and then we'll cut that. Lengthen your bobbin thread right there. This is the 6 inches right here. Now my bobbin is this length. And hold on to this thread. And then we can just bring everything back. If you're using a cotton thread, you can probably get away with less stitches, but I like 5 or 6 when I'm using a polyester thread. So that's just something for you to play with. If you feel that your stitches are coming out when you do 4, do a couple more. You know, you might just need a little bit more to secure that. So let's take this out. We're going to get everybody out of their pin put away. Always put your pin in someplace safe, right? Okay, I have a little jar when I travel, and I have this little eraser when I'm at home. All right, let's get all these threads out of here. Oh, I love this color on here. What do you think? Look at that cool center. Doesn't that look bomb? I love it. It looks so awesome. Really fun. Okay, so let's see. Did I mess up on the back? No, it looks awesome. So I'll show you the bonbon time though. Oh, it looks like my tension, it could use a little adjusting. I need my top to be a little tighter. So I'm going to actually make that adjustment right now before we do the next one. This is bonbon time right there. So this one is the one that's going to come out, and we'll just rip back to the stitches right there. And then this will be all done, and we can just move on. Okay, so let me show you. I'll put this out so we can see the whole thing. The black and the white really, I think the black and the blue will make it really great visibility and able to see all of it. So Debbie Lehman asked, what size is the template? It's going to stitch out at 11.5 inches. So the width across 11.5 and top to bottom 11.5. It is a circle, so it's not going to fill a square evenly, but it will fill a 12-inch block fairly well, and then you will have some space in the corners that you could do something with if you wanted to. Okay, so yeah, really, really a beautiful shape. This one is the Spin Effects, the Circles on Quilts spinning wheel number 33. And just to put these on the black, this is 33. So it's wide here and kind of wide here. And then I'm going to compare that for you. If we put this one on, see how it's just a little bit narrower there? And this part of the width, it's a little taller, right? This is sort of splitting your leaf in the middle. The bottom part on this one is longer, and you're going to get a little bit narrower top right there. Okay, so let's play. All right, we'll just take the next one. Now, who says we have to use that with a pin or use that in that way? One of the things that we can do here is we can align things in a different way, right? We could say, let's put that edge on there, and then we'll just tip this until we're right at the top. Okay, so we're going to use this part. And let's see, I'm going to number these two so we can make sure that we're using the same. Okay, and I'm not worried about if they're longer because we're actually going to use our foot as the pivot point. Okay, but we'll just number them just so we can have some visual references. And if they're short, we'll figure that out. I'm not worrying about it for the moment. We'll see if that matters. That one's really short. 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So what we want to do is we want to get some more of this, and we can use either side, but I'm going to think about this kind of as the split. This is 29, and 29 actually has a reference line right there, but I'm actually going to use this point right there for this. The purpose of it will be we're using the end of that, which will have a nice stop barrier. As the foot hits this, it'll stop automatically. So there's no reason to use any other way. When we get to the crosshair line, wherever the foot will be closest to this, that's where I want the needle to stop on the crosshair line. So then we can flip it over, okay? All right, well look, we don't have grips on this one either. So since we're going to use this in a little different way, let me just wiggle this off of here. Can you tell I've never taken this tape off? It's really tight. There we go. So just be gentle. I don't want to break it, right? I don't want to break my template. That tape is very, very, very aggressive. It does not want to come off. All right, there we go. So I'm going to put a better tape on there with a little pull tab because that's my thing. I feel like it's much better if I can get the tape off easily. And since we're going to be flipping this around, we're definitely going to want to do that. So, okay, so just fold the tip like this. That makes a little pull tab that won't stick. Okay, and then put that back on. And usually I do want the pull tab on the top. Okay, notice that when I put the tape on, I want it to be right near this opening. If I put it back here, that part is going to flex a little bit right back there. I don't care. As long as it doesn't flex right there where the foot is, that's what I want. So that's how come I usually put my tape really close to the inside of the template. Okay, all right, so let's put a couple of these on, and real quick I'm going to see if we have any questions. All right, let me just grab my notebook here so we can see what's going on. So if you have a question that has not been answered and you want an answer, go ahead and let me know and I'll try to answer it right now. We'll just take a second while we're getting these grips put on here. So just peel off that little plastic right there. Okay, and then again, just putting, 4 or 5 around so that we can just make sure this will connect well. If you're going to use it on both sides, then it's probably a good idea to put your grips on both sides of this template. I don't know that I'm going to do that just based on the interest of time, and I would have to go find another one of these stable tape pieces. So I'm just kind of spreading them out right now. I thought I had more, but I don't see any, and I would have to go find some. Oh, I did find some. Look it, I'm so prepared. So I did teach yesterday, and I'm still in the process of reconfiguring my sewing room because anytime I go anywhere, it's like a tornado hits it. What is this question? Let me see if I can find that. What would it look like to go in numerical order? Good question. So Carol Johnson just asked that, and I don't know. I haven't tried that. The thing is that this is based on the angle of that skipping. So you might have to do some modification here because this, when you sew around, you're traveling enough that you could rotate to get back to the start point. So if I don't skip, then my foot is not going to end up in this hook. I'd have to sew across there to get to the new start point. So you'd have this flat part in there. Probably it'd be fine. I dare you to try it. I want to see what it looks like too. But that's a good question. But it's based on the mathematics and the angle, so it's definitely not going to look how we showed it. It would look different. I'm not sure how easily it would work out though. Okay, so let's just match these up. I'm just going to put these ones on the back side. That way I don't have little grippies everywhere. I just have them in only a few places. I don't want the grip on this side right here to go where the tape is, because if I want to take the tape off, so I'm just going to move this grip over because I don't want to cover up that tape right there. Okay, and let's see, that's probably enough. Maybe one more. We'll just put one more. I don't like to cover up the number because I want to know what size it actually is in case I need that information. So I'd usually try not to cover up the number. I'm not too worried about the picture, but definitely want to know what size something is when we're using it. So grips on both sides. All right, let me put those out of the way. All right, here we go. All right, that's a lot of talking, huh? Let's get sewing. All right, we're using this more like a spin effects in this case, just so you know. And that way we can get a little bit more versatility out of this product because we can create any different designs that we want. We don't have to use it exactly the way that it is created. Okay, all right, so we said that we wanted to, I guess I had it this way when I started. We'll think about the block as this being the quadrants, like right here. So we're gonna kind of put this outer piece and we'll use the foot as the anchor. Okay, let me see if I can see my little white dot right there. Okay. And if you don't want to move, like your spot is perfectly figured out and you don't want the ruler foot to move and change that position, just sweep your thread under there and we can pick up our bobbin thread. And then I can set this back down and hopefully if I haven't moved, my needle should be right in that spot. Okay, and then I'll just take these threads and put them back here so they'll be out of the way. There we go. All right, so we're trying to line it up basically right there. I want the needle to be able to touch this line. So I'm gonna make sure that I have my 1/4 inch. I'll use my spacing gauge and that'll be the guide when we're lining this up. So I guess it is that center mark right there. Okay, we're using the center mark, which the other one didn't have, so that's, would be a reason not to use it. So it's going to be a little bit different shape in terms of the actual template. So I'm going to try to get right to the crosshair line. Don't pass it. Just stop right at the crosshair line right there, because that's what we're going to be using as the reference for this one. So let's kind of scoot in a little bit, get us a little tighter. Okay. Now, we're not pinned, so let me just show you what I want to do. This is the shape that we've gotten, and we're right down towards the center. What I want to do is mirror this. I like that these have the potential to be very wide, so we'll just flip that over like that and put the key back on. And when I flip it over, I took the key pretty much all the way off, because once I sew it, I want this pull tab to be on the top, the side that I'm using. I guess I need to put it on first, right? Okay, so right there. And then go ahead and tape it. Make sure that that's staying in place. Now I can set the foot, and right here, I want that to come right back. So let's see what we can get out of this. Oh, you guys, I lined up the wrong side. Darn it. All right, let's just stop before we make it worse. All right, this is big bonbon this time, huh? Oh, it happens. We'll just keep going. I want to get back to that center position, so I need to make sure that I'm using the correct side, because I didn't use the right side. So this should mirror the one that we did on the other side. It's going to create kind of like a little strange heart almost. Get me right back to my center. Okay. Now, let's do it as if this were quadrants, right? So this will be the next line. And I don't necessarily have to do anything yet. I can just go ahead and do the one side. So right here, we're going to come on this far side, and then we'll flip it around to put the other side on. So again, I'm trying to get right to the crosshair line. Because we're using no pin, it's going to be shorter. If we wanted to still make it longer, we could start with like a circle in the middle or something like that. So right there, okay? And now I can take it off, and I'll flip it around. And this time I'll be more careful to just make sure that I'm gonna put my end point at the right spot. So flip it over. There we go. So just securing that tape. This is going to go right here at the anchor point, and then let's check the bottom so you can see that alignment again. Okay, let's come out just a little bit. I want you to be able to see how we're looking at the orientation, because this is a little bit big. So right now, if this is the anchor spot, we need to be able to come back to the center. So align that position right down here. We are going to get, I think, a little bit of overlap, and I'm totally fine with that. So right there. Right down to the center position. Now, before I would go and do any more, always check your center position. If you're trying to make this be the center, then we want all of these to line up nice and neat in the center. So let's go ahead, we'll do the quadrants, right? So again, put it on this side and line up this side. We don't have to take the key out right away. We can just go ahead and use this one side. That just helps us not have to flip around quite so many times. So right to the crosshair line, and then we'll stop right there, and then we can flip it over. Okay. All right, and line it up right there at the top. And again, this is the trickiest part. When you take your finger and you're coming down, you know that it's this side that has to align so that you can get back to your center position, right? So get myself right in there and checking for the 1/4 inch right there. If you have any questions whether or not it's going to fit perfectly, you could just put your spacing gauge right on there, and that's exactly perfect where it's going to fit. So it'll get right into the center. Okay, go around that little sharp point and bring us right into the center position. Very nice. Okay, so we're doing this as quadrants. So let's go ahead and we'll do the next one, which is this one right here. So about right there to get us right to that same spot. Stopping right on the crosshair line there, and then flipping this over. So, okay, and then flip your key over as well. Okay, and lining up the top, and then same thing, lining up the bottom to get us right into that center position. So this is where your spacing gauge is really valuable to get us right there. Make sure that we align right to the center position. All right, so let me show you what we have so far. Let me cut a couple threads. And then we'll talk about just a few different options, and you guys can help make some choices about how we want it to go. I'm just going to cut this so we have these out of the way. So this is bonbon time. I would usually take this out, but I also think this would make kind of a cool echo right here. You can see that we could slant this a little bit and get a little echo. So on one side, that'll give a little three-dimensionality. Kind of looks cool, actually. Let's go ahead and take this all the way off, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll talk about the other choices that we're going to have. And I'm going to cut this thread also. So right now, this is 4 lobes, right, that we've got, and I think it would be just fine to play with this and maybe put something even a little bigger on and stretch this out a little bit using these sections right here. So let's put this on. And we'll put the key back in, and we're going to use a different orientation this time than we did last time, just so that we can play with it and make something a little bit different. If we did everything the same, that would be fine too. We could use the 8-point crosshair and use those other lines for orientation. So we went on this wider side right here. So at this point, maybe we'll go on the shorter side, and this guy can just come up to the top and we'll mirror him. So by using this other side, it's going to be a little bit narrower because this does not flange out as much, right? He's going to give you a little different look than the other one. Okay, so now we'll flip him over and do the other side. And now since we changed our orientation, right, we need to pay attention so that we're doing it correctly, right? Because we did all those other ones a certain way, and now we're doing it differently. So let's set the foot in position. We're going to use this shorter side. Did I mess up? Oh, there we go, right there. Okay, and then again, we need to get to that center, right? So checking which center are we using. If this is the side that we want, we need to pivot this bottom right here to get us to the correct side right here. So this is going to be a very cute sort of a bubble at the top, which I think is going to look awesome. I'm just trimming those threads. We've been back and forth over it enough times that I think we're fine. So I'm going to tip that. See how it's going to come in and give a little hourglass right there, and you're going to get this really cool shape here at the top, which I think is going to look so cool. Right to the center position right there. The needle's right where it needs to be, and then this will be the next orientation right in the middle of these two, so we can just rotate. We want this shorter side aligned, so we'll align it right on there, and let's just start sewing. Because this has such a unique, fun curvature, I just think it offers a lot of fun flexibility for us to play with. We don't have to have quite such a perfect design with the pin. We can use this however we want to. All right, so let's see. Right there. You know what? I'm realizing I don't think we even need the pin for this side because we're not going to sew on that side. So let's try it next time without the pin. I think that'll be even more flexible. We're coming down this way, and this side is the one that's aligned right on the 1/4 inch right there. Right to the center, and then we'll just keep going to the next quadrant. We're lining up this skinnier side right here and coming up to the crosshair line. Right to the crosshair line. And then, as I said, I think I'm going to take the key out because we won't even need it for this side because we're not even sewing on that side. That'll make it easier for us to flip this around. Okay, so let me get it oriented for you. Okay, and the center coming right back and mirroring this side right here with a little twist. Okay, and let's see, I think we've got just 2 more, I guess. So skinny side aligned right here and getting us right onto that crosshair line. Okay, and then we'll just flip it over. Aligning it right here at the top, and remember to sew on the skinny side. I know we're flipping it around, but that'll help you see. Let me just look real quick and see if we have some questions. You really have to pay attention. That is true. Somebody said, make sure that there's no interruptions. Make sure you're going right. But do you see that? Like, I think this shape is so cute right there. And you get this little crossover right there. I could see just doing that on every crosshair line because this is pretty skinny. If we did it on 8 crosshair lines, this would have no overlap, but you'd have this really cool like tulip shape at the top. I love it. I think it looks awesome. All right, so let's see where we are. We flipped it and we're using the skinny side. So did I flip it yet? Yes, I did. Okay, so get it lined up right on the center. And we're coming down this way and we'll come right to the center of the design. All right. So I have one more template that I think would be kind of fun that we could use. And it's pretty big. This is the 11.5 inch wide. And I think that this space is pretty wide open. So what I thought we could do is we'll put this guy on here and we'll just orient. Let's see. So maybe we'll make this touch right at this crosshair line, but we won't connect the curve down at the bottom. This will help us to just put a little bit more fill in there and stretch the design out a little bit. Okay. And this will also add a little bit more thread in that area. So this is the Curly Q 11.5 wide. Okay, it's in the set number 2. And what we can do, we don't have to switch it. We can just go around and do each side the same. So like if this is the last one, we said it would touch right at the center. And as we line it up, we're just gonna not connect it all the way. So we're using the reference line. I'll show you right here that the opening of the template is touching this crosshair line that's right in the middle right there. What that means is when we do the other side, those 2 lines won't touch each other. They'll be a 1/4 inch apart because the other one will touch on the opposite side. So that way we're just giving a little space for the design. Okay, back to the center, and then line up this one. So we don't want it to close all the way, so we want to leave that gap in there. So I'm going to just pull up my template again. I want to show you one more thing that is, as we're doing this right now, my brain is on fire thinking about what else could be done. I want you to see that. Don't you think this would make an amazing butterfly wing, right? And if we use both of them, we could have the top wing, and then we could have an echo sticking out from it. And just by using either one of those sides, we can orient towards the center body portion. And then if we wanted a body, we could use this part or some stylized bit like this as the body and a little circle for the head. This could be the skinny part of the body, and this could be the bottom with the little curlicue swallowtails. Oh, my brain is like, what? It can't stop thinking about them. Let's go ahead and finish up. See, I get distracted easily. I think quilters are naturally ADHD, and we have our brain going all over the place. All right, so swirling back in, but don't close it all the way. If you wanted them all to be exactly the same, you could put one of your ruler stickers on there, and that would just make sure that it would only stop at the exact same position. So we got all 4 of these on now. Okay, so flip it over. Turn this way. Now, when we line it up, we're going to line this up at the same position on the crosshair line. We're not trying to make it touch that other side, right? We want them both to have their own identity. So this is definitely getting a little busy in the center. I don't care. It's fine. It's going to look awesome. But if you're worried about that, you know, that's something that you get to choose. If that were true, you could start these by still lining it up right there, but put an arrow where it touches right here, and you could start this curve from here and not from the center. So just some options. I think the center position makes it really easy to rotate, but if you wanted it to be less busy, you also have that option. Okay, so let's just keep on going. We'll get these in. And this one's got that little extra thread in there, so it's going to look a little, got a mind of its own right there. Okay, oh, I love it, you guys. I think it's looking so cool. It's kind of a square. I'll show you the square in a minute. So this is something that we could orient to use in a certain way in a square. So this is an example of, if you don't like how this side looked, just quilt it some more, it'll be fine. All right? Just throw some more quilting on it. I think the curlicues are so relaxing. I really like them. They have that swoopy nature to them, and you can use a little of them or a lot. You know, Ruth Johnson said her ADHD is why I can't finish a quilt. I just gave a talk the other day about quilting, and somebody said afterwards, they're like, oh my God, I could never have that many unfinished quilts, right? Like, I have a ton of unfinished quilts. I struggle with that finishing thing too. I think a lot of us do. All right, let's cut it and let's see what happened, how it looks. So again, if the busy center bothered you, my recommendation is to put like a 2-inch circle and emanate all the designs from the circle. That could push it out, and it could also eliminate a lot of extra bulk. But I actually like how this looks. It's almost like cross hatching right there. It looks so cool. Let's cut it. Oh, and the colors are so pretty. Actually, I think this thread goes really good with this. All right, let's get that bobbin thread cut. So I think my ADHD was showing today, wasn't it? I was definitely all over the map. But what did you think? Did you like the design? Was it fun? So basically, you know, we used that one template and we added, for this one alone, we just added the curlicue. But I think it looks fantastic. Look at that. Doesn't that look so cool? Let's see if we can get a better top-down view so you can really see it better. Here, this way you can kind of come out so you could really see it well. Oh, so people are like, this is my style of quilting. This is my style. Thank God we have all these different styles, because we have all these amazing people that can do all kinds of different things. So I love that we all have our own way of doing things and creating designs. Notice that this is vaguely a square. Okay, I'll kind of orient it for you. It's vaguely a square. So if you had a square, the curlicue is the 11.5 inch wide. So since we're using these end to end, our square can fit in a 12-inch block. So this cool block that we made, it, you know, started out kind of on point, I guess, but this would be something you could use to fill a 12-inch square. And as I said, there's plenty of ways that we could adapt the design to make this less busy, but I don't mind it at all. I think it actually looks like it has a kind of a cool cross hatching there in the center where those cross over. So I think it looks neat. All right. Well, that's our two designs. So just to recap, our stars of the show for the day, I'll flip it over so we can put it on the black. Oh, looks even better on the black. Love it. It looks so cool. This one is the 33, and the 33, remember, it kind of splits into sort of the top and bottom. Well, imagine I could just use the top, right? I could make a little line and I could just orient it like that if I wanted to. You can use this so many different ways. And then the other one is number 29, and I'm not sure what I did with it now. There it is. They're clear, right? So it wanders off. Look, I even lost my key already. Darn it. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here we go. Put your key back on right away. Or put it in like your little, I have a key bucket. I have this little basket as usual that I stick my loose keys in there, because I do take them off sometimes for different things. And that way I remind myself, look in the basket. All right, so they're just slightly different, but very cool. This one got more swoop up at the top. But this is a great way to see that you can use templates in ways you don't expect. And I always want to show you that. So let me show you. This is kind of like a stretch, right? It's not finished yet. But this is kind of where I'm going for my next Tile Titans. This is block 2, and kind of, it's not done yet. I have to figure out some of the things that I don't have completed yet in this kind of area. But love it. Doesn't that look so cool? So that's kind of where we're going to go. And I think last month was the third, I guess, Sunday of the month. So I think we're going to continue this block of the month with the Tile Titans to be maybe the third, because the second Sunday is my long arm Sunday, and then maybe we'll do the third. So I'll go ahead and ask Stacy to post some information about that once I kind of get it all settled. And this will formalize it, which I need to force myself to do things, right? I need a plan. All right, so it is 4:08. I don't really have any more. Let's see, I had one more thing I wanted to share, but I'm not sure if I can find it. I have this class that I've been working on, and it's on the Sew Show. It's called Triangle Splash. And I'm just going to see if I can find one of those triangles real quick. Hang on just a second. Found it. Thank goodness. All right, so on September 6th, this class is coming up where we are going to be quilting this bad boy, bad girl. She's awesome. I want her to be female because she's just too awesome to be a him, right? It's got a little bit of girly personality, right? She's just bad, right? So this is different ways to quilt this and different templates. We're going to use circles, back to back, some straight, maybe a little bit of free motion integrated in there. And this is definitely more modern. It's a little bit random, but I thought people might want to know that the Sew Show is sponsoring the quilting class for this on September the 6th. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you sign up with Mike. If you sign up, it's a better opportunity to be on the prize winning list, right? If you sign up. They do have one giveaway for just random live giveaway, but the other two giveaways are ones that are part of the show. So this is going to be something fun that's coming up. So you can find that on the Sew Steady events page. And have a great week, you guys. I will see you soon. I will be back and we'll share more awesome things. Have a great week. Bye-bye.